a powerful businesswoman, a luxury BMW, and a dark deserted mountain road. What happens when wealth and success mean nothing, and the only thing standing between fear and survival is the kindness of a complete stranger? Tonight, we bring you the story of Samantha Reed, a story of power, pride, and an unexpected twist of fate that would change her forever. Stay with us, because what begins as a breakdown becomes a breakthrough. Samantha Reed wasn't just rich, she was iconic. At 38, she had clawed her way to the top of Manhattan's luxury real estate scene. Her name whispered in boardrooms and splashed across glossy magazine covers. Her penthouse towered above Central Park. Her calendar overflowed with charity galas, art auctions, and political fundraisers. But beneath the polished exterior was something else: exhaustion. Every deal demanded perfection. Every photo op demanded poise. Control wasn't just her strength, it was her obsession. That October weekend, she craved silence. She flew into Denver, closed a multi-million-dollar property deal, and decided to drive herself through the Rocky Mountains to a luxury lodge. The black BMW she rented hummed along the winding roads, its leather interior wrapping her in comfort as autumn leaves tumbled past her windows. But life has a way of humbling even the most powerful. As the road climbed higher and the sky deepened into twilight, a hiss broke the car's smooth rhythm. Warning lights flashed. A metallic groan rattled the engine. Then silenced. Her BMW rolled to a stop on a stretch of mountain road flanked by towering pines. No nearby houses. No street lamps. No cell service. For the first time in years, Samantha Reed wasn't in control. She stepped out, hugging her wool coat tightly against the sharp mountain air. The cold bit at her cheeks. The silence pressed on her like a heavy cloak. Her heels clicked against gravel, an absurd sound in such wild emptiness. Every snap of a twig made her pulse race. Every shifting shadow in the tree line felt alive. She glanced at her phone. No signal. Her BMW, gleaming and perfect in Manhattan traffic, now sat useless on the roadside, a dark shell in the wilderness. Minutes stretched into an hour. The sky thickened with clouds, swallowing the moon. Fear worked its way into her chest, cold and suffocating. She thought of every horror story she'd heard: robberies, accidents, people disappearing on forgotten roads. For the first time in decades, Samantha Reed wasn't the untouchable CEO. She was a lone woman, vulnerable and small, praying someone safe would come before something dangerous did. Then headlights. A faint glow curved around the bend. Her breath caught. Relief surged, tempered by fear. Who was it? A savior? Or a threat? The rumble grew louder until an old, dust-covered pickup truck pulled alongside her BMW. Its brakes squealed as it stopped. The window rolled down. Behind the wheel sat a man in his late 30s. His face was weathered but kind, his eyes steady beneath a worn baseball cap. He wore a flannel shirt, jeans faded by work, and his hands rested casually on the wheel, calloused, rough but steady. "Car trouble?" he asked. His voice was calm, not invasive, carrying the tone of someone used to mountain roads and stranded drivers. Samantha hesitated, instincts screaming to be cautious. But desperation outweighed pride. She nodded, forcing her voice to remain steady. "It just stopped. I don't know what happened." The man gave a small nod. "Name's Jack," he said simply. "Mechanic. I've got tools in the back. No pretense. No false charm. Just Jack." Jack stepped out, grabbing the heavy flashlight. The beam cut across the BMW's sleek surface. He popped the hood and leaned in, working silently. Samantha hovered nearby, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Her mind raced. He could rob her. He could hurt her. But something about his manner disarmed her. He didn't pry into who she was. He didn't gawk at her jewelry or expensive car. He worked as if she were any other stranded driver. After several minutes, he straightened, brushing grease from his hands. "Radiator hose is shot," he said. "She's not going anywhere tonight." The bluntness stung. Samantha was used to people sugarcoating things for her, making problems disappear. Jack offered no such comfort. "Just the truth. What do I do then?" she asked, her voice sharper than she intended. Jack tilted his head toward his truck. "I can tow it down to my garage. Safer than sitting out here all night." It wasn't a choice. Pride warred with fear. Finally, she nodded. For the first time in her adult life, Samantha Reed put her safety in the hands of a stranger. Jack stepped out, grabbing a heavy flashlight. The beam cut across the BMW's sleek surface. He popped the hood and leaned in, working silently. Samantha hovered nearby, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Her mind raced. He could rob her. He could hurt her. But something about his manner disarmed her. He didn't pry into who she was. He didn't gawk at her jewelry or expensive car. He worked as if she were any other stranded driver. After several minutes, he straightened, brushing grease from his hands. "Radiator hose is shot," he said. "She's not going anywhere tonight." The bluntness stung. Samantha was used to people sugarcoating things for her, making problems disappear. Jack offered no such comfort. "Just the truth. What do I do then?" she asked, her voice sharper than she intended. Jack tilted his head toward his truck. "I can tow it down to my garage. Safer than sitting out here all night." It wasn't a choice. Pride warred with fear. Finally, she nodded. For the first time in her adult life, Samantha Reed put her safety in the hands of a stranger. Tow chain rattled as Jack secured the BMW. Samantha slid into the passenger seat of his old pickup. The contrast was jarring. Her world of polished luxury replaced by cracked leather seats, a faint smell of engine oil, and a radio that buzzed with static. As they drove, the road wound downward in silence. Then Jack spoke. "Not from around here," he said, glancing at her tailored coat and polished shoes. "New York," she admitted. He gave a short nod, as though that explained everything. "Big city, and you?" she asked, her voice softening despite herself. "Born here. Fix cars, raise my kids. Keep life simple." Samantha studied him in the dim glow of the dashboard. He spoke without pretense, without calculation. She was used to people who wanted something, an introduction, a deal, a slice of her world. Jack wanted nothing but to get her safely down the mountain. It humbled her. For the first time in years, she found herself simply listening. By dawn, Jack had replaced the hose in his modest garage. The BMW roared back to life, sleek and powerful once again. Samantha pulled out her wallet, sliding a thick stack of bills across the counter. "Please," she said. "Take it." Jack shook his head. "Just the cost of parts and labor. Nothing more," she frowned. "Do you know how much trouble you saved me?" His smile was faint, but steady. "Then pay it forward." The words landed heavier than she expected. Pay it forward. Back in Manhattan, surrounded by glass towers and million-dollar deals, Samantha couldn't shake them. Jack hadn't saved her because of her wealth, or her status, or her power. He helped because it was the right thing to do. Her BMW breaking down had felt like a disaster. But it became the moment that stripped away her illusions. True wealth, she realized, wasn't measured in penthouses or cars. It was measured in compassion, in integrity, in the kind of strength that doesn't need to be displayed to be real. From that night on, Samantha lived differently. She gave more. She listened more. She cared more, because she had discovered that sometimes the richest gift of all comes from a stranger with calloused hands and a generous heart. In life we often measure success by what we own, the cars, the homes, the titles that make us feel untouchable. But when Samantha's BMW broke down on that cold mountain road, she discovered a truth money could never buy. Sometimes the greatest wealth lies in human kindness. A stranger with calloused hands and a simple heart reminded her, and all of us, that status fades, but compassion lasts forever. The faint orange of dawn spilled through the garage windows, painting streaks of light across the concrete floor. Samantha sat in silence, sipping the last of the lukewarm coffee Jack had given her, watching him finish the final touches on her BMW. The sound of his tools, the steady rhythm of his movements was strangely comforting. Finally, Jack straightened and wiped his hands on a rag. "She's ready," he said with quiet certainty. The BMW's engine purred, restored to its smooth power. Relief washed over Samantha, followed quickly by a pang of humility. She thought about what might have happened if Jack hadn't stopped. Hours alone in the cold. Fear swallowing her whole. Perhaps worse. Her throat tightened as she pulled out her wallet. "Jack, I owe you more than I can say. Please take this." She slipped several crisp bills onto the workbench. Far more than the job required. But Jack shook his head. "That's too much." "Just the cost of parts and labor," Samantha frowned, pushing the money closer. "You don't understand. I can't let you do all this for so little. You saved me. At least let me thank you properly." Jack's eyes softened, but his tone stayed firm. "Ma'am, I don't do this for tips or praise. I do it because it's the right thing to do. If you really want to thank me." He paused, folding the rag slowly. "Then pay it forward." The words landed like a stone in the stillness. Simple, honest, unshakable. Samantha blinked, her throat tightening again. For years, she had been surrounded by people who always wanted more money, more favors, more connections. Jack wanted nothing. Just a promise. "Pay it forward," she repeated softly, as though memorizing it. Jack smiled faintly. That's all. Back in Manhattan, the city lights glittered as always. Samantha's penthouse welcomed her with polished marble floors and glass walls that reached for the sky. Meetings resumed, contracts piled up, and luxury once again wrapped itself around her life like armor. But Samantha was no longer the same woman who had broken down on that mountain road. Something in her had shifted. Every time she slid behind the wheel of her BMW, she remembered the silence of the mountains, the shadows of the trees, the fear that gripped her heart, and the steady hands of a stranger who asked for nothing in return. She began noticing the small cracks in the world around her. The receptionist who looked tired but smiled anyway. The barista juggling 2 jobs. The doorman who worked double shifts to pay for his daughter's tuition. For the first time, she didn't just see them. She felt them. Jack's words followed her everywhere. Pay it forward. So she did. Sometimes with money, sometimes with time, sometimes with nothing more than compassion. She paid the rent of a struggling single mother in one of her buildings. She funded scholarships quietly, without attaching her name. She started conversations with people she once would have walked past without a glance. And each time, she thought of Jack, his modest garage, his calm voice, his quiet refusal of anything beyond what was fair. She realized that while she had spent years building towers of glass and steel, true wealth wasn't built in boardrooms. It was built in hearts. Luxury can make us appear powerful. Wealth can make us feel invincible. But in the end, when the road grows dark, it isn't the car you drive or the title you carry that will save you. It's kindness. The kind that asks for nothing. The kind that multiplies when shared. Samantha Reed discovered what many of us forget. True success is not in how high you climb, but in how deeply you care. Because long after the BMWs rust and the penthouses fade, what endures is the love and compassion we leave behind. So remember, the next time you see someone stranded on their own dark road, don't just drive past. Be the stranger who changes everything. Asterisk.